This car was at a salvage auction because others gave up on it. But I fixed it. I put in a new short block and got it running perfectly. So I started using it as my daily to break in the new engine and let the emissions test complete. And while I was waiting on other parts to finish the rebuild, I took it out to do a drive cycle for one last test and yeah, so that's where we are now. No warning, it was driving perfectly. Maybe I didn't let it warm up enough, but it was town driving until the highway, and that was a good 6 or 7 miles. I let it idle for a few minutes. It's my first time hearing that in a Subaru that I have owned. And the only other times I've heard it are on the internet. My wife is being real patient with me with this car. Some people are gonna say it's just a crap engine, but I have to think that I did something wrong. I was nowhere near redline. We'll see. So here I am trying to figure out the shortest way home. 15 miles, 16 minutes. With an engine that sounds like that. Then it wants me to get right back on the highway. It sounded good on the highway. I didn't notice it till I got off. Here we go. I started the car back up and the noise was gone. Then it came back. For the first 1,000 miles, I stayed out of boost, never took the revs high, but still, here we are. Well, that means I gotta get this ready, pull that in, and investigate. I'm heartbroken, so let's get to work. The WRX was running so well that I took the hood off my Mark IV Golf to paint it. Needless to say, I never got around to that before having to pull the Subi back into the garage. So, subscribe if you want to see me paint a hood in my backyard. After looking at some footage, I'm going to look into this tensioner pulley. It was this one right here. Notice how much it's moving. I had seen where others had a similar sound, and replacing the pulley fixed it. It was on the side of the engine where the noise was coming from, and it would only take a few minutes to check, so I figured why not. No, nothing about the pulley seems wrong, so I'm gonna put the pulley back on. Now I gotta lock it in order to tighten it all the way. Allen key going in right here. All right, so I did, while I was working on the engine, keep this tensioner locked for the entire time. I wonder if that affected the spring. All right, got the belt back on. With everything back together, it was time to start the car and see what it sounded like. Sounds okay now. This made me think that I didn't have the pulley tightened properly. It's even moving less. So, the warm-up idle speed has calmed down and it sounds normal now. I got some other things I want to do to the car, but I really want that emissions test to run, so I'm going to let it down and go for a drive. But you know what? No. I'm going to go ahead and do the oil change because that made me nervous. I'm going to do the oil change, then I'll pick back up with the emissions stuff.
But wait! There's more! I'll be back. Uh-oh.
No, I think I have a problem. I don't think it should sound like that. This is after it has warmed up a little bit more. I may end up getting one of those oil filter cutters. See if there's metal in here. They have oil filter cutters, but I could get this today. This is actually an exhaust pipe cutter. It's actually kind of cool. Put that in there. Like that. See that? And now I gotta rotate this. Oh, that's gonna work. Put that on there like that. Put this on here like this. And then I'm just gonna rotate it like that. All right, so if it cuts it, this was definitely worth the trip to go get it. Didn't want it to drop. I might have already seen enough. That oil is a bit sparkly. But that begs the question. I mean, that was brand new block, so there's gonna be more initially, but how much more is the question? but I might have already seen enough. Yeah, it's definitely sparkly. Yes, there is definitely some stuff. The filter is doing its thing. All right, that is enough for me to say there's an issue. Let's see, is that metal? Is that metal or RTV? There is at least a bit of RTV in there. Yeah, that's RTV. That little bit was. Ugh. So oil starvation from RTV, but where did the RTV come from? I imagine from the timing cover installed. Yeah, I think that's RTV. Yeah, that's RTV. That's RTV because it'll stretch a little bit. So you can go back through the videos and see where you think I might have applied too much RTV. This is heartbreaking, but this sort of stuff is very interesting to me. I'd rather not be doing it, don't get me wrong, but you see, to my eye, this is terrible. But this is the first oil filter I've ever opened up. But I imagine that it shouldn't have this much stuff in it.
Look at the game tape!
I look back through some footage and don't think I applied too much RTV. There is a chance though, oh wow, that's a lot, that I didn't clean the oil pan enough. You see, I decided not to separate the upper and lower oil pan because it wasn't leaking. But maybe I should have. I'd be willing to bet that if when I was doing this, if I had opened the drain plug and let the cleaner flow out, I would see the same little bits of RTV that were in the filter. And those bits would have been generated while I was doing this. I'll show you later why I think that those bits are somehow impeding oil flow to the cams. But I wasn't ready to dig deeper because I had to clean the garage a bit by way of installing parts that were laying around. Way back when I got the car, I found evidence that mice were living in it. They were munching on donuts. I hope I don't find any vermin in here. Pretzels. I'm waiting to find some vermin because something was nibbling on these pretzels. The back seat cushion, and it ate some of this too. I need to replace it. I got the new part, so let's see what we got to do to get at it. I've never replaced seat belt before. Let's see. Looks like this panel has to come off, but how does it? I'm going to consult the diagram in the manual, but let's see if the new one gives us any clues. I imagine this side goes on the bottom, and I imagine this mounts somewhere up here. Wonder if I can access it from the trunk. So I need to get up in there, and I can see the mechanism. I need to take the panel off that's on the inside. There is a SRS symbol on the area I'm working, so I might as well disconnect the negative battery terminal. And I had to remove the lower seat cushion to get to one of the bolts. Then right under here, there's another pull tab. I'll show you when I get it out because you can't really see it, but you can feel it. Oh, so I broke my finger a while back working on a truck and I just hit it right there. There we go. All right, there we go. And this is the little tab I pulled. And that reveals the bottom bolt that attaches the seatbelt. So I'm going to leave that attached and see if I can get access to the top one. So I'm going to lay this down. Well, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. The manual wasn't entirely clear, and I got a little impatient because I was like, man, I could just pop it out. There we go. So I got it off, but 2 of the clips remained, and poor little guy must have really been trapped. Look at that. He ate through some of the plastic as well. These are the clips that remain, so I'm going to try and take them out. That's one, and that's the other. So I'm going to put these back in the panel. There. So that's ready to go back in. And that is the bolt right there. I'll take it off with a 14 M&M. The bolt is finally out. It looks like this. Let's see, can I just pull it out now? Come on. Let's see, will this help? Hope I don't have to take this whole panel off. I just need a little more room. Okay, yeah, that goes out. Yeah, so this should come out a little. Well, dadgummit, I'm gonna take this out too. All right. There should be plenty of room to get it out now. All right, now for the bottom. So there we go. The old Eaton seatbelt is out. And they look identical. So let's go ahead and install a new one. Uh-oh. It'll come. I gotta keep messing with it. Oh yeah, just working it out. All right, that's plenty. All right. Now I gotta get all these clips back in. All right. There we go. Let's go. Look at that. A nice new seat belt. So I'm going to put the little U's that are on this seat under the hooks as best I can. All right, so that's under. Oh shoot. Gotta feed the seat belts through. Then snap it in. And with that, the new seat belt is installed. I still have some fender liners to put in, but I want to show you why I think that the sound is coming from the cams. So the engine idles at around 700 RPM. And if you convert that to hertz, or cycles per second, you get about 11.7. And along with it sounding like it's coming from the head, the noise did not sound like it was happening over 11 times a second. So I slowed down the video and counted how many ticks I got over a given amount of time. And when I calculated the frequency, it was half of what the engine rotated at. And that checks out because the crankshaft sprocket has 18 teeth and the camshaft sprocket has 36. So the cams should rotate at half the speed of the crankshaft, or the engine RPM. And that's going to help me troubleshoot in the future because the high pressure fuel pump does not operate on the same cam profile as the valves. But with these concerns and the noise only coming from the top end for now, I'm not going to drive it much. I'm hoping it's just a top end oil delivery problem that I caught before it did too much damage. But if it isn't, I'll document everything I do to fix it on this channel. So subscribe if you want to see it. Thanks for watching. Take care.